Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Tenshinhan and Chaoz, also known as Tien and Chiaotzu. Now, it's throwing me for a loop because depending on sort of which version you watched, whether you watch sort of a dubbed version or a subtitled version or whatever, and I'm sure this is different in other countries as well, but it's kind of throwing me for a loop because Tenshinhan and Chaoz is sort of the original sort of Japanese names that these guys have, but you always see them as Tien and Chiaotzu. So I don't know. I'll probably I'll go back and forth, sort of calling them by their different names, but regardless. This is a set of figures, I guess, that came out a while ago. I think these were 2021, so I'm a little bit late to the party. I picked this up more or less on the aftermarket, and but I really wanted to get these because I'm late to the party as far as the Dragon Ball stuff goes, especially the SH Figuarts stuff. But I'm slowly trying to build out my Z fighters. And with Yamcha coming up, I was very excited to be able to pick these guys up as well. Let's take a look at the packaging before we take a look at the figure. So you get, standard SH Figuarts Dragon Ball stuff. You get the nice big window, which is on the top and on the side as well as on the front. So lots of light in there. You can definitely see most of what's in that package. Dragon Ball Z down at the bottom, all the reflective, authentic decals that go with this. The nice big picture of the figures themselves. On the side, we get the detail callouts. On the back, the full shot of the two figures and some more detailed callouts in terms of what they can do and sort of how they can pose and stuff like that. And as I said before in previous videos, I assume this is the equivalent of the legalese that we get on North American packages, but I don't know. The names on the bottom there as well. A nice open, as I said, open window on the front as well. So there is the box. Pretty standard stuff if you're familiar with Dragon Ball SH Figuarts. So let's get this guy out of the box. So here they are out of the box. We get Tien and Chiaotzu. Now, first of all, we will start off with Chiaotzu. He is adorable. I mean, look at how tiny he is. A while ago, I unboxed Pan. He is definitely smaller than Pan, like noticeably smaller. Which again, Pan was very small, and I love that figure, adorable figure. Pan could have probably been added to the Gohan figure and done in this scale. I think Pan is a little too big, but Chiaotzu I think is just the right size, and I think Pan could have been done like this, as an add-in to the Gohan figure. Yeah, you're welcome to disagree with me, but that's my thought there. There's a decent amount of articulation here. So he's got articulation in the shoulder, he's got articulation in the elbow, not much, obviously he's tiny. A little bit of articulation in the wrist. His fists will sort of rotate. It's on a ball joint, but it won't move much because it's a very small ball joint. There's some articulation in the head. He can look side to side. He can look up and down. Actually, there's a decent amount of articulation in the head, which is pretty impressive. No waist rotation. I mean, the whole torso is like one piece. He can kick up decently high. He's got a single jointed, he's got a double jointed knee, which is more than I thought he had. And then his foot is on a ball joint as well. So you get a decent amount of articulation out of this tiny little guy. More than enough to probably get him into most of the poses that you're gonna want to get him into. So that's, I mean, it's, like I said, the previous version had like a little static little statue of Chiaotzu, which was fine. But I think, you know, for how much he's in the show, for sort of how important the character is, I think having an articulated version is probably the right call. Now, as far as Tien goes, there's nothing groundbreaking here. It's good to have the character. The figures, I don't know. I mean, you need him to complete your Z fighters. Is he one of the Z fighters that, you know, is super memorable or whatever? I don't know. I mean, it's not everybody's gonna need a Tien, I guess, but I wanted to complete the Z fighters, so I really wanted one. The sculpting's good. The paint apps are good. The top of his shirt is quite a bit darker than sort of his legs. You know, his sleeve, like the deco on the green is a little bit inconsistent. Long story short, that's the green is, you know, he's got one knee that's dark and one knee that's light. The shins are similar, but I mean, nothing on the back. The back is all like a solid color. I might have preferred to just have sort of a solid color on the front too, because it feels disconnected. It feels a little bit weird. But I'm sure I'll get over it. Like I said, I'm just happy to have the character in the collection and to be able to complete the Z fighters. Now watch them redo these guys in the next, you know, year or something like that, and I'll be eating my words, because I should have just waited and gotten the new version. But the articulation is okay for an SH Figuarts figure. It's not great. You know, he's got the ab crunch, the torso, the arms move the way that you would want them to. It's a little bit weird. It's on a ball joint, and there's a gap there, you know, depending on how you move the arm. You can kind of move it into place sometimes, but other times it's very obvious that it's a ball joint with a gap. So, you know, even by SH Figuarts standards, not their best work. Better than a lot of figures, but not, you know, this is not the most impressive SH Figuarts figure that you're going to see. That being said, you know, with the articulation scheme that SH Figuarts uses, you're going to be able to get all the poses that you want from this guy. You know, as far as iconic scenes from the show and so on and so forth. But he does not move as well as I might have liked him to for a martial arts master. But that's just my 2 cents. The back of his knees look terrible. There's a few figures that we've seen, or that I've seen, that don't really do anything to sort of mask the back of the knee, and this is definitely guilty of that. The front of the knee looks okay when it's you know, standing up, but as soon as you bend that knee, there's some nice big gaps there. Now, because this is 2021, I mean, I've really only been buying the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball stuff in the last year and a bit. So I wonder if this was sort of the last of this style. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. But, you know, for Z-Fighter purposes, he's probably just going to be standing around while some of the more prominent Z-Fighters get in on the battle. So maybe he doesn't need the articulation. Maybe it's fine to just have him on the shelf like that. He looks great like that. I've got no complaints in that respect. Now, as far as posing him up, if I do want to sort of get him into any of his iconic poses, I mean, you can certainly do that by way of the accessories. So let's take a look at the accessories. First off, let's take a look at the accessories that come for, believe it or not, Chiaotzu. So he actually comes with a couple sets of spare hands that are comically small and sort of hard to show off by extension. He comes with the open hands. These look very much like any other SH Figuart set of open hands. They just happen to be very, very small. And then he comes with a set of pointed fingers, both left and right. Again, they are so small that I don't know how to sort of show them very well, apart from just putting them on my hand and hoping you can see them. As I said, the little ball joint that these go to are really, really small. So I just hope I don't break those if I ever try to swap them out. As far as Tien goes, as we almost always do, we got some spare heads. So he comes with the stern look out of the box. He comes with the gritted teeth. And these, just like Krillin, and I just realized that because they're bald heads, you can't really break up the sculpt and just sort of do the faceplate. So they come full heads. And they're sort of designed in the same way. It's like a keyed piece. So this piece, I don't know why they have these pieces. This piece comes out and this the head will slide onto a keyed sort of socket. But anyways, you get the gritted teeth. You get this sort of anxious, nervous. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. There's like the perspiration on his forehead to sort of signal his anxiety. It's like the most Japanese sort of anime-inspired head I've ever seen, I think. And then we get this screaming, shouting head that actually has some sculpting to sort of show off the veins in his head. You can sort of see them there. They're pretty subtle, to be honest, but it's a really, really cool head. I like that a lot. You know, he can do his sort of signature move with that head. Then as far as hands, we get the Kung Fu style gripping hands. We get the open palm hands, just like we saw with Chiaotzu, actually. Very, very similar, but very, very different in size. We get the two-finger martial arts hand pose there. And then we get this set of hands, which is quite unique. There's a weird thing going on here where some of these fingers have like a little, not a peg, but sort of a nub on them almost. Whereas this hand has little indents in the fingers. So these hands will actually, they don't lock into place, but when you put them together, they get a nice snug fit. So he can, you can recreate his signature move. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called. Let me know in the comments there if you know what his signature move is called. Having sort of watched most of Dragon Ball Z in Japanese, I that just wasn't something that I picked up on. But I know that they all have a name. So, you know, you get the combination of these hands and that face, and you get that signature move going, which is pretty cool. I mean, the fact that they molded the hands to not quite lock, but sort of set up in a way where once you pose him, that's going to look really, really good, and sort of hold firm on the display. So that's definitely a cool addition. The accessories that come with these, I think, are very, very appropriate. If we consider Chiaotzu an accessory to Tien, I think the accessories are like a 10 out of 10. And if you consider this sort of a figure 2-pack, I still think the accessories pretty much, you know, knock it out of the park. Very, very cool figure. Articulation isn't perfect, but all things considered, I think it's a really, really strong release. And as I said, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan and you're collecting the SH Figuarts, I think this is a must-have to get the whole collection of the Z Fighters together. So here we have Tien and Chiaotzu posed up a little bit in his sort of signature energy blast move that he's got. Chiaotzu, he's super adorable. He doesn't pose up very well, I'll be perfectly honest. It's really hard to get him in any sort of pose that makes any sense. So I did what I could. But altogether, as I've said before, very, very happy to get these guys to add to the Z Fighters. Very soon we're going to have the full lineup of Z Fighters. So this was sort of a no-brainer as far as picking these guys up. These are not the latest and greatest SH Figuarts by any stretch, but I still think that they're worth picking up if you are building out your Z Fighters lineup. Great figures, decent articulation, accessories are good, and I think, if you're a fan of Tien and Chiaotzu, these are definitely figures that I would personally recommend. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. And if you don't want to miss any future videos, please hit the bell icon to get notifications of new videos. Until next time, bye-bye.